Hi, welcome to Community Conversations. Tonight we have Sarah Chapp from Confections of a Cake Lover. I always call it Confessions of a Cake Lover because every time you have to go in there, you want to make a confession because it is such great cake.
Thank you.
I love the play on the words. Sarah's going to tell us about her business and why and where she came to being in Meadville, Pennsylvania, and about her wonderful desserts.
Nice.
Welcome. Thank you.
So thank you all for coming. So again, my name is Sarah. I am the head cake artist and the owner of Confections of a Cake Lover. I have been in business, actual location business, it'll be 5 years in December. I've been doing this out of my home. I want to say 8 or 9 years doing that on the side. I originally was a secondary math and science teacher. I actually taught middle school for 5 years, was living in New York, where I'm from. And then I also moved to New Hampshire, where my husband was he was going to Dartmouth for grad school. And we slowly made our way out to Pennsylvania. He is a professor at Allegheny College of Chemistry. And it's halfway between my family in New York and his family in Chicago. So we're kind of on our own here, no family, but lots of friends. We have found Meadville to be just the most amazing community ever. Made a lot of lifelong friends that are like family to us. One of the interesting side notes about me is I'm actually almost a doctorate in education. Which is cool, but not cool because I, in a way, outpriced myself to working in public school. And I had a hard time finding a job even when I was going out to New Hampshire, and realized that, and what I did is I realized when we went back to New York for 2 years, my husband was gonna be just a visiting professor at Hamilton College outside of Syracuse. So I stayed at home and had a baby. And I just kept practicing and doing this more and more. Then when we came out here, 2 years of being out of teaching, plus having all this education, it was gonna be really hard. Plus they were closing down schools and all this. So I decided, I'm just gonna try to see if I can actually make this a career. And so I have. So yeah, we've been going 5 years strong. We specialize in specialty birthday cakes, cupcakes, not so much cookies. Cookies are a pain in the butt. We don't like to do them as much. We usually tell people to go elsewhere for sugar cookies, but we can do your basic ones for sure. And as you guys tasted, the salted caramel bars and other little baked goods like that. We also supply to McKinley's dining hall up at the college. We've been doing that for about 3 years now, so we make and bring up. We also have a partnership with Julian's in downtown Meadville, so we supply all of their desserts. And we have just struck up a new partnership with Hank's Frozen Custard. They are now selling our edible cookie dough, and that has proven to be an incredible partnership, to the point we are now talking to people in Ohio about them purchasing our edible cookie dough for them to sell at their ice cream stands. So we do a lot of things, but our main specialty is definitely wedding cakes, birthday cakes, things that you can't get at a grocery store. So the biggest thing with the difference between us and a grocery store is we do everything from scratch. Everything from scratch, except for the fondant. The fondant is the only thing. So are you guys familiar with what fondant is? It's the stuff you cover the cakes with. For instance here, like these pieces are all that fondant pieces. And then this cake is a little hidden here that's made out of fondant. That's the only thing we don't make from scratch, because there's 1,000,001 recipes for fondant, and it has everything to do with the consistency. A couple of years ago, I was in a cake competition in upstate New York, outside of Ithaca, and my partner and I, we had to make a cake that fed 500 people in 4 hours. And I usually use the type of fondant that Ace of Cakes, Cake Boss use. It's called Satin Ice. Really, it's not the best tasting stuff in the world, but it's really good to work with. Well, we got a sponsorship from another fondant person, and it was the best tasting fondant ever, but it was really soft. So I got really frustrated. So fondant consistency is crucial, so crucial. And I thought we actually won, which was cool. I got to win an all-exclusive trip to a spa in New York, so that was cool. But it was really frustrating. So that's the only thing we don't make from scratch. So all of our frostings, all of our cakes, all of our cookies, everything is scratch. And why is that? I grew up in a household with scratch baker. Who here is like grandma, mom made scratch cakes? I don't know. I don't like the taste of canned frosting. I mean, box cake is, yeah, I'll make a box cake. I usually do at home because I am tired by the time I get home. My daughter will say, I want muffins for tomorrow. I'm like, all right, Aldi, what do you got for me? Because I do not do things from scratch at home. I'm too tired. But yeah, sometimes, you know, there's nothing wrong with it. And some people do it, but for us, it's just, we find that it's better quality, better tasting. It's just a little bit more personal. And it's the stuff that my grandma made for me when we were growing up. So, yeah, so everything we do is scratch baked, and it is freshly made. The cakes that we make that are, for instance, I have a wedding cake this weekend. My baker baked it today, or we'll bake it tomorrow. It goes in the freezer, hangs out in the freezer. We do sometimes freeze our cakes maybe a week in advance if we know, for instance, we also do a lot of Wednesday wine nights, which is a Wednesday, you come on in, you decorate a cake, and it's a particular way, and it's fantastic. You bring your own alcohol. Obviously, it's 21 and over. But if we know that we have 12 people coming to that, plus we've got a bunch of other cakes, then we'll bake them ahead and freeze them. But we don't make and freeze our cakes weeks and weeks and weeks in advance. Everything's, unlike the grocery store where it comes in frozen, we do it relatively fresh. And then we have some people who are like, well, I want it super fresh. I want it baked that day. Well, you're not getting it from me, and good luck finding it from anybody, because you can't, it's very hard, guys. One of the tips of making a cake is to make a cake and frost it the same day. You can do it, but you gotta make sure it's cold. I have a lot of people say to me, Sarah, why is my cake falling apart? I'm like, because you just took it out of the oven an hour ago. No wonder why. So you just gotta let it firm up a little bit. So if we are like, I need to do a cake and it needs to be out the next day, or it needs to be out, I bake it first thing in the morning, and I can get a tiny cake out by like 5 or 6 at night if I slice it, if I keep everything cold. But it's not in this industry do we make things same day, because otherwise it's gonna fall apart. So, but relatively speaking, a few days before it goes in the freezer, and then it's all good. So, just to show you a couple of the things that we can do. Again, weddings. One of the things that we do specialize in are weddings. We are getting to the point now where our clientele base has actually extended itself to Erie. We are doing a lot of Cleveland weddings, surprisingly. Not so much Pittsburgh, which is interesting. Why are you doing this? Yeah, we're not doing so much Pittsburgh because I think they have a relatively large base in which to choose from. But we are getting quite a large amount of people from Cleveland coming in. We just this past week, I did a 2-hour round trip to middle of nowhere, Ohio to deliver. And she's from the Cleveland area, I guess, which is kind of cool. Okay, so I don't care about, I'd like to go back here. Goodness, I don't know why it freaked out on me like that. Our wedding cakes are super personalized. I'll just bring up our banner here if it'll let me. You gonna stop? Cool. Nope. Okay. Why is it doing that? That's silly. Anywho, we do things that are very personal, very personalized. A lot of times we'll have people bring in pictures of what they want, and that's usually how the consultation will work, is we'll say bring in photos. But their pictures, we normally will say bring in pictures of what you want, and it's customized. A lot of times they'll say, I saw you do a cake online this way. How much was it? Our cakes are dependent on flavor, size, what detail you want, and how many people you want it to feed. A lot of times someone will want a cake that, well, I want a cake that this is this big, but I only want it to feed 20 people. Well, the cake this big actually feeds like 40 or 50. So that's fine, I can make it that, but you know, it's a process. So a lot of times people say, well, I like the look, but we can scale it down. So we do a lot of, no one can order a cake over the phone from us. They have to come in, they have to see it. Okay, a lot of times we've had people, they'll make an order, and when you're in business, all it takes is one time for something to not go the right way. Like you'll get a complaint and you're like, okay, that's it. And for us, it was one time we did someone called up, wanted a cake. We said, how many you want to feed? 15. She came in, she said, where's the rest of the cake? I was like, okay, well we're not doing that anymore. People are gonna come in and see what 15 servings is. And for us, 15 servings is actually this size. 15 servings from a grocery store is bigger because it's a sheet cake and it's one layer and it's frosted in on the outside. But for us, we have 4 layers of cake with 3 layers of filling on the inside, a lot of buttercream on the outside. It's all really rich. You don't need as big as servings. So when people want to order a cake from us, they actually have to come in and talk to us in person. Unless they've ordered from us before and they're familiar with, you know, what they're ordering, then certainly we can, you know, work accordingly. But weddings, same thing, you know, someone coming in, they want something super personal. So for instance, you know, we can certainly do buttercream. A lot of people, you know, they want the buttercream look. Some people don't like the taste of fondant. Totally fine, I totally get it. And it's obviously cheaper just to do it in buttercream. We do things super personal and super whimsical if people want that. That was an instance of a bride and a groom came in. They said they were doing a Harry Potter themed wedding. And I begged them, please, let me do a hot Harry Potter wedding cake, please. And they were like, oh, I don't know. They had all this Harry Potter themed stuff. And they're like, well, the cake that we actually want, and it was just white with purple. And I'm like, don't do this to me. And so so again, in a consultation, you show them their price options. For us, a lot of people will say, well, I'm on a budget. Certainly, we can work within a budget. We can do a smaller cake, cupcakes. That's much cheaper for us to do cupcakes than it is a multi-tier cake. So we can try to work within their budget as best as we can. But it ended up being that a couple weeks before, something like they didn't have to spend as much on the DJ or whatever, and so they were able to splurge a little bit more. So we were able to make a Harry Potter wedding cake. A lot of times too, overall design, this was totally the mother of the groom chose that design. So we do have a lot of other people who come on in and they'll want to help decide. We do have a policy though that when you come in and have a consultation, you're not bringing your entourage because there's too many opinions. And we don't want the bride and the groom to lose their opinions when it comes to that. So it's always important to really make sure you're listening to your client, certainly. And again, just some other different, you know, unique designs that we have done, but it's very rarely do we ever repeat our designs more than twice. So we like to, you know, keep with the times and keep things fresh and, you know. The one cake that I hate, Mickey Mouse Clubhouse cake. So many of those. And it's like, they all look the same to me. So they just drive me nuts. So anyone's like, I need a Mickey Mouse Clubhouse cake. I'm like, no. So I'll be like, okay, what can I do different this time instead of the same old? So we do ask people, you know, get creative. Get creative with what you want. We can do all sorts of really cool things. You're not going into a store and opening a book and I want cake, this one, just change up the frosting color. No. We want to see multiple photos. We want to see really cool stuff. So yeah, we do a lot of wedding things. We do bridal fairs to kind of get ourselves, you know, more clientele, things like that. But yeah, we certainly do we also specialize in carved cakes. So cakes that are, let me try to see if I can find it here. I think if I keep it up like this, then it'll allow me to, okay, here we go, see all. This is a wedding cake that we just did. So, I'm trying to think. Yep. Okay. Birthday cakes, you know, specialty birthday cakes, things that you're not going to be able to, things that you're not going to see. Does anyone have any questions so far while I'm trying to bring up more pictures of stuff, or no? Sure, go ahead.
Do you ever refrigerate a cake, or do you always
Ah.
freeze it?
That's a good question. So when you refrigerate a cake, that is when it's going to dry out. That's a very, very, very good question. So if you are, let's say you have a party on a Saturday, okay? But I don't have time. The only time you have to bake is Wednesday. Okay, great. Bake it Wednesday, freezer. Put it in the fridge, it's going to dry it out. Okay, so then Saturday morning, or bring it out. What you can do too is Friday night, you can move it from the freezer to the fridge and let it slowly come to room temp. But yeah, putting it in the fridge is when it's going to dry out. Okay. Same thing with cupcakes too.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Do you frost it with it frozen or frost it?
I do not. Mm-hmm. I frost it. Yep. Okay. I frost it when it's not frozen anymore. But you utilize the freezer for frosting it. So if let's say you want to fill your cake, so you slice your cake, we call it torting. So you slice your cake, you fill it, put it in the freezer for 10 minutes, bring it out, crumb coat it, one layer, freezer for 10 minutes, bring it back out. So yeah, utilize that. Mm-hmm. That's a very good question. Yes?
When you're freezing it, you let it cool, or how long after it's coming?
That's a good question. I've made the mistake of, as soon as it comes out of the oven, it's 5:55 and I want to go home. So I take the plastic wrap, always plastic wrap. We leave it right in the pans. You can take it out if you have enough time and it's cooled, and then you can wrap it, but I just leave it in the pan, why not? Like, it's keeping it fresher. You don't have to wrap the whole thing in plastic wrap, just leave it in the pan. So you put it on, then you stick it in the freezer, it creates a vacuum, and the cake actually sinks in. So you do have to let it cool a little bit. So I have wrapped it in plastic, and I'm just like, dang it, I have to wait around for 10 minutes, because I made the mistake of doing that, and the woman wanted to pick up the cake the next day at 11 a.m., and I came in at 8:30 and realized the cake had gone from a normal cake down to like this. Can you give me another hour? And that's when I did the speed baking. So how did I speed bake? Okay, so it was a 8-inch. Normally we have 8-inch pans that are 3 inches tall. Okay, so when we're done frosting, it's like 3.5, 4 inches tall. It's a tall cake. So instead of baking it all in one pan, 8-inch pan, I had 4 8-inch pans, a little bit of batter in each. It only took about 15 minutes for it to bake instead of 50 minutes. So just cut it down. In the freezer, and then I was able to, it took me a little bit of time, but I wasn't too far off with the time for her, so she appreciated it, but yeah. So yeah.
So along those same lines, when you're
Okay. Okay, good question. Oh, it's really funny. So because I didn't go to school for this, I actually learned a lot from my staff. I have a girl who went to culinary school. One of the very first employees I had went to a very good culinary school in Vermont. This one went to IUP. I also have another staff who's worked in Giant Eagle, has worked at Lakeside Icing on the Lake, has worked at Arts Bakery or whatever she's worked at all these, so she knows. I'm just like, whatever. So what I do, spray the pan, okay, parchment, but I just rip a piece and I throw it in there. Normally, you want to put your cake pan, you want to trace your parchment, my girl from Vermont's like, you don't need to do that, just throw a piece in there. But there are some places that you spray it, you parchment, you do flour or cocoa if you're doing a chocolate cake, which you can do too. But then you take a butter knife and you go around. It's just something nice and sturdy.
When it can come to room temperature.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because it's frozen, it's not coming out frozen. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And yeah, when it's cool too, because there's been times where I'm like, I just need to, come on, I want to go home, I want to get this, or I need to, so again, those cake nights, we have 12 people coming, and we give everyone a 6-inch cake, and it's like, all right, I need to we've got five chocolates and 7, 8 whites we've got to do. And we only have 7 pans. So it's like, all right, chocolate. Okay, they're out of the oven. All right, we're ready with white batter, dump it out. And then they're all like not set yet. So just give it a little bit of time, at least like 5-10 minutes before you take it out if you're gonna take it out. So otherwise it will blur. Yeah. Any other questions while I'm pulling up more pictures? Trying to see if I can, no, it's still doing this.
Does freezing a cake for a long time improve the flavor?
No, I don't think so. I don't think it makes any difference. I have done that. There's been times where we've made the wrong size. Like my one employee one time, she wrote down like a big cake, and it was gonna be a big carved cake. It was a big rectangle, and she said that it was supposed to be white cake. It was supposed to be marble. So I had all this cake. I'm like, oh my gosh, come on. What am I gonna do? So I was like, I'll just deal with it at some point. Maybe I'll make cake pops or whatever. And I put it in the freezer. And it was in the freezer. It sat at the bottom of my freezer, maybe about 2 or 3 months. I was like, all right, we're done with this. We're never, we thought maybe another person would come along and order a cake that I can use or I can take. Nobody did. I took it out and I was like, I'm curious. And it tasted the same. Didn't taste worse, didn't taste better, but I think it also depends on your freezer too. Our freezer is just cake and frozen fruit. When you've got your husband whose brother went elk hunting or a bunch of salmon then things get a little gross. So yeah, we don't get funky smells, but I could totally see it in a personal freezer. So you kind of have to figure that out, but yeah, so I don't find any taste difference. The only thing that could be potential is the dryness and some people are weird about, oh, it's frozen, it's gonna be dry. No, if it's refrigerated, it's gonna be dry, totally. So don't let anyone tell you differently. And if they say it was all dry, they didn't wrap it good enough. That's what they didn't. Yep, or they let it sit out on their countertop for 9 hours before they put it in the fridge, so yeah. And that's also something I do too. If we over bake our cupcakes by like 2 minutes, they're okay. Maybe a little bit more brown on the top than what I want. So as soon as they come out with the big pans, I take and I wrap it immediately with saran wrap to bring moisture back into it. And then it's about a 70% success rate. And it's just, if it's just overbaked a little bit, I just bring that moisture back in and then they're fine. But, oh, come on. Any other questions so far?
Now, how many people are coming in with pictures from Pinterest?
I like it.
A lot of cakes out.
I like it that way. So I am one of those that loves when someone brings in a Pinterest picture. Because I am a very, very visual person. And a lot of times in the past, we said, one woman one time was like, I want a golf cake. My boss is a golf, well, what do you want for a golf cake? There's 5,001 different designs. Well, I don't know, do what you want. I do not do what I want. I do not do what I want. You have to give me a jumping off point. So I love pictures. And I'll take from it and I'll alter it and I'll make it my own. But for instance, there was a girl who came in, she's actually a former bride. She came in and she's one where she actually had, I think, 4 pictures. And it was this general style, but it didn't look this way. And none of them had these colors. She brought in the colors. She's like, I like this cake, this cake, this cake, this cake. When it happens like that, you say, what do you like about those cakes? Because sometimes some of them are just, there's no interconnectiveness whatsoever. So we ask, but I do not do what I want. And actually when people come in and say, oh, just do what you want, I'm not picky. They actually are the pickiest people. when someone tells me that, I'm like, you're a liar. You're probably super picky. Yeah, we've had a lot of issues with people saying I'm not that picky. And then when I'm like, okay, let me see how picky. So what color? Well, I want it this color peach, but not too pink. Okay. Well, what about flowers? No, I don't want flowers. No, I don't like any flowers. Okay. Too picky? No, that's, because I would have done a pinker peach and I would have done flowers. So I'm glad I asked. So yeah, we definitely need a jumping off point for stuff, because otherwise it's just gonna be a mess. Yes, and we do cakes that are a little different, as you can see with the dead deer cake that we did for a client in Erie. And we also did a 21st birthday Barbie cake. So yeah, we do things that are a little interesting. We do carved, cakes, as I mentioned before. It was an example of a car cake. And what's funny is men, that was for a guy for his 30th birthday. I said, he's not gonna cut it. Men don't cut, nobody cut that cake. He didn't cut it for a week because he didn't want anyone to touch it. Groom's cakes, same thing. They are just like, nope. And they'll like carry it around and they'll be like, no one's touching this cake. Men are interesting when it comes to like specialty cakes like that where it's really cool. They're like, no. This was like one of the best cakes we did. Oh, I wish it's gonna be mad at me if I show it. Please. It's gonna be, and there it is, and there it goes. So, yeah, all the places you'll go cake. Yeah. So we were able to hand paint the balloons. That was no problem. But the actual characters, we had an edible ink printer and printed them off. Because I was like, no. And so if someone was like, oh, I want it hand painted, well, okay, you're gonna pay an extra like $30-40, or let me just print it off really quick. So, it all worked out well. So yeah, that was one where she brought in a picture exactly, I want it this way, and we just tweaked it a little bit, but it was slightly different than what they had wanted. So, oh yeah. This was actually for a doctor, a NICU nurse. So we were able to get her face printed on the name tag. If you guys saw that quick. Oh my gosh, stop. Seriously, stop. Okay, well, goodbye. Facebook, you were great today. Thank you so much. Any other questions while I'm... Oh. Everyone always asks what's the most popular. There isn't. Everyone has such a different taste. Such a different taste. I mean, the chocolate, so we always have our usuals, like the chocolate with salted caramel buttercream or chocolate with peanut butter. Those are always a big seller. But it's really, I'll tell you what people don't buy. I know that, but like lemon with lemon, there's a cult following for lemon with lemon. And the orange creamsicle, like that's not me. I don't like orange creamsicle. I don't like usually orange anything, but there are people who, they'll buy a huge birthday cake of that. There's one thing we do not allow is we've had instances in the past where people are like, I want a 5-tier wedding cake and I want it all vanilla with vanilla. Okay, so you're gonna feed 200 people vanilla with vanilla. And guess who gets to hear about it when it's all done? Me. It's my fault. Cake, nobody ate the cake because you sold them vanilla cake. So now you have to have at least 2 flavors. It has to be split. Same price. All right, you want vanilla? Throw a chocolate layer in there. I'm going to be the one that's going to go for chocolate at a wedding. So your guest might too. So yeah, we have that policy now where you have to have some variety. But for the life of me, I cannot sell. I could not even give away strawberry banana cupcakes. People are weird about bananas in this town. So weird. Meadville, Pennsylvania does not like bananas. And it's the best smelling cupcake ever when it comes out of the oven. But if I have strawberry banana with cream cheese, I can't give it away. But if I take that strawberry banana cupcake and I make a vanilla bean Swiss meringue, and I have cored it and filled it with chocolate sauce, and I put peanuts on top, and I put a cherry, and I put sprinkles, and I bill it as a banana split, I can't make them fast enough. It's just the way you repackage it. That's all. That's all. So you just have to be creative. So I am one of those that will look at stuff on Facebook. There was just the other day, like 2 weeks ago, I saw somebody, it was a creme brulee cupcake. Just a yellow cupcake, vanilla pudding, caramelized sugar. I mean, I was like, I can do that. But a lot of the stuff on Facebook actually makes me really sick. Because it's like, oh, our triple decker. And they've done like a brownie-based peanut butter fill, caramel sauce, Oreos. I was like, ugh, I can't. A lot of them are really too much. So, but it's all in moderation. It's all, you know, and it's what you like and what your guests and clients like.
So do you have tastings to come up with new flavors and new combinations?
Yeah, and a lot of it's on the fly.
Okay.
Yeah, my one employee one day, she's really good at making cheesecakes, and she's always coming up with new flavors. That's like her specialty. She's the one who went to pastry school. And one day she's like, oh, I've got this pineapple liquor at home. I'll be right back. I was like, all right. So we made a Bahama Mama cheesecake, and we dyed it, and we did orange and pineapple liqueur and all, and we sold it to Julian's and everyone loved it. So it's a lot on the fly, or I saw this on Pinterest. But we don't go on Pinterest a lot for recipes. We don't have time a lot of times. But someone will come up with new stuff on the fly at random. But it's a good source for starting, for sure. Yeah, I'm not opposed to Pinterest. Yeah.
Are most of your recipes family recipes?
Our vanilla buttercream is. And the rest have been amassed over a period of 7, 8 years. So a lot of people will say, oh, and a lot of people want that caramel bar recipe. They do. I'm gonna tell you right now, my mom I won't even tell my mom the recipes. She's got the biggest mouth ever. She'll be like, oh my God, and then Sarah makes it this way. No, I don't. We keep it a secret. And my employees actually have to sign a non-competitive, non-disclosure agreement. So if they are like, so I actually had one, and Palma's up in Edinburgh, which is great. I love Palma. My one employee's like, I'm gonna work up there too. I'm like, no, you're not. Sorry, you know a lot of my stuff, and we're not doing this. But if she was, you know, so if there is a thing where if any of my employees say, I'm gonna open up my own place, they have to be outside of a 30-mile radius, or if they are within, they have to wait 3 years. So it's to make sure that our stuff stays with us. So, yep.
And naked cakes are
Yes,
popular.
naked cakes are popular. They are. So you had brought up before, people will say, well, I want this on it. I've had a lot of instances of people saying, I had someone who's like, I want a Hulk cupcake cake. So think to yourself, Hulk, in the shape of a cupcake cake. I come back and I'll say, find me a picture of someone who's done it, and I'll consider it. If I can't, in my mind, envision the Hulk, his body, in some sort of cupcake cake, I want to see someone else who's done it. So, or I'll go on like Hulk cupcake cake. I haven't seen Hulk cupcake cakes. So I'm like, no, we're not gonna do it. I can do it this way. I can do it this way, but I'm not gonna make it look. A lot of times, there was one time. Okay. So there's a lot of instances in which people will ask me to do something that is actually a little bit. I don't want to make it sound bad, but a little Susie Homemaker. Like to me, so for instance, one time someone's like, I want cupcakes in ice cream cones. that are baked and then frosted and then dipped in the silver nonpareils so it looks like microphones. Okay, that's cute, but that's not me. And that's something anybody could do, and I felt bad charging her for what it was. So if someone's like, I want, or they'll come to me with the old school star tip Wilton Elmo face, and I'm like, that's not what we do. It's just not. So we try to do things that can't normally be done by the everyday home baker. And we just want people to step out and just get a little bit more experimental. So, because we don't want, because we have to make a profit off of it, and I would feel bad making something that grandma can make, you know? So we're a little bit more, you know, we try to do things a little bit more high-end that are unexpected, I guess, so to speak. Oh gosh, you know what, it's not so much the flour, it's the powdered sugar. Powdered sugar. Powdered sugar for us, we go through so much of it, bags upon bags upon bags. And that's a really good question because really each week differs. It really does. Some weeks we do a ton of cakes, some weekends. I will say that we can now comfortably do 3 weddings a weekend in which you're serving at least 150 people. It's not a problem for us. So it just depends. It's a good question, but I really don't have an answer because this week we have a class, so there's 11 people, and then we have a 4-tier birthday cake and a 3-tier wedding cake, and that was it until we got phone calls today for cupcakes, last-minute cupcakes, and a last-minute cake, and yeah, so it's really hard for me to say. And then last week, we didn't have a lot. I had a little cake and a wedding cake. And then this week we have more. And then next week we have more. So it just depends. Mm-hmm. We certainly have seasons for it. A lot of people have birthdays around October 10th, which if you count backwards 9 months is Valentine's Day. I was like, why is everyone being born on October 10th? Oh, Valentine's Day. Okay, I get it. So we do have, it's cyclical. We know our busy seasons. We know our slow seasons. Busy seasons for us are always wedding season, summer, but then it slows down with foot traffic because everyone's out of town. Busy season all around is April and May, Mother's Day, graduation, Allegheny graduation. Biggest day of the year, can anyone guess? Valentine's Day. We make more money on Valentine's Day than we do the entire month of January. We make chocolate-covered strawberries. Yeah, so that pays the bills. Yes. But January's slow, oh my gosh, because everyone's on a diet. And surprisingly, Christmas is not a good season for us because everyone is baking for themselves. And they're making their own cookies, they're making their own pies, they're making all their own stuff. And we get the family's in town, we're gonna do a really small baby shower, can I get a 6-inch cake? And it's like, oh my gosh. That's when we lose money. We lose money. So we actually close for 2 weeks in December. And it gets me a chance to go see my family and spend some time with them. But yeah, it'll start slowing down after Halloween for us, which is fine. We'll just pick it up with the college as much as we can and just try to relax. Mm-hmm. Yeah, go ahead.
How do you do your classes? Is that at your shop?
It is, yes. So we, the classes really depend, I actually might have a few photos. Actually, this is a picture of one of the classes, everyone lined up with their cakes. Let's see if I can, yeah, so if you can, I don't want to pull it up because it's going to, but you get to kind of make like your own, let's see if I have it. So basically what it is, okay, This one, bringing up quick, it's gonna go away. That was all things that the class had made. It was a monster cake class. So we do unicorn ones. We're doing succulents, like buttercream succulents, like cacti and things like that. We have done a mermaid style cake. So what we used to do originally was everyone gets, there's Dr. Fernandez, if he's done he's actually doing one tomorrow night, so this I think will be his 5th. He really enjoys himself. So what it'll be is you get normal, oh my gosh, seriously, thank you for being so fantastic, Facebook. So what it'll be is, what it used to be is you got a half dozen cupcakes and then you got a 6-inch cake. And I would show you how to use a large piping bag to frost cupcakes. And we've been doing it for 3 years. What we normally do is we post on Facebook and then first come, first serve. And then if you come in a time where it's all booked, we'll put you on the wait list. And then the next batch, so we'll usually do summer series, fall series, we'll do that. You'll be the first we call for that next, and you get first dibs. And then we just put it back on Facebook. So we modeled it after the sit-in paints, the sip-in paints. Which, to be honest with you, I've actually seen a decline. I'm not seeing it. It was like super popular 3 years ago. They were doing, oh my gosh, there were so many that you could do. I'm not seeing as many. And that was my fear, is I don't want people to be like, I'm so done with this. So that is one where we're constantly having to retool and rethink how we're gonna do. Because it got to the point where the first year of it was literally a year-long waiting list. I mean, that's how quick. Because people will be like, I want 8 seats, and I'm having all my friends come. And we do private classes too, where people can book private Wednesday nights. We've done bachelorette parties. We've done small bridal showers where people come in and they do it. So it's great. But now we're getting into the fondant hybrid, where unicorn, they make a fondant horn, they make fondant ears, they decorate, boom. The monster cake, you make your fondant eyes, whatever you want, frost it, stick it on, boom. And that omits the cupcake aspect, but it's still same price, still same, it's 2 hours long, $40, and you go home with cake, and it's cool, instead of just another painting on your wall. So it's fun. Yeah, we enjoy them. So yeah, we're constantly, and we always do every year a gingerbread house one. It's always fun, so. Mr. Roten is signed up for that one, Don, with a bunch of his friends, a bunch of our gym friends. So, yep, they'll be coming to do that. So that's always a fun one. We also, every Valentine's Day, do a sweetheart one, where you and your significant other, you tag team a cake, and then you also get a voucher for free for a dozen strawberries. Because you're going home with 1 cake, plus you get a dozen strawberries that you can pick up on Valentine's Day. So we do a sweetheart package too, which is always fun. We always get a couple couples for that. So yeah, we're always trying to come up with new ones. We've tried Mommy and Me ones. I can't get anybody who wants to bring their kid. Like, come on, but no. So like, well, not doing that. So.
How old does the kid have to be?
Under 21.
Oh, okay.
That's just it, under 21, so they can't drink. The ones where they're not, like anywhere from 12 to 20. We find that anyone under the age of 10, 9, it's hard to manipulate the bags. So it's just a matter of your hands. Any other questions?
Did you do any mail order?
No. I tried.
Did you? Because the cupcakes that come in mason jars.
Yes. So I have a friend. He went to, where'd he go? University of New Hampshire. And a part of his he was in a business project, and they had to look at a business and something that the business wanted to do and come up with a feasibility study. And he said, we would like to use you. What's something you want to do? I'm like, well, I'd love to ship my cupcakes. It would be great. And he's like, okay, yeah, let's try it. So we looked up packaging. We looked up dry ice. We looked up UPS come in and talk to me. We talked about different rates. We talked about all this stuff. And we're like, okay, great. Well, apparently FedEx, if you put this side up, they don't listen. They told me flat, like, it's not gonna happen. It's not. The only way is if you have a particular refrigerated truck that comes and picks up, and that's how they transport. You can't send it into the general circulation. Well, we tried it, and his group partner was quite upset because the cupcakes came all over the place. And they were like, I really wanted to try. I'm like, I don't know what to tell you. You guys live in Maine. Like, what do you want me to say? I tried. It didn't work. The only thing that we can ship that isn't too bad, and I have done it for a friend, is sugar cookies. But I don't do sugar cookies. Sugar cookies take us longer than a cake. Like a dozen sugar cookies. I had an employee one time, so she was sitting working, and I had a customer come in. She's like, I'd like to order 8 sugar cookies to ask my friends to be my bridesmaids. I was like, okay, yeah, $5 a cookie. My employee, what? Right in front of, I was like, guess what, you're gonna do them. She kept her mouth shut after that when she realized how long it takes to do royal icing cookies. Long time. So it's a labor thing. It is a labor thing. And we just don't. We're like, we can't do sugar cookies, but we can do dollar cupcakes. It's a lot easier for done. It's obviously more in the supplies versus a sugar cookie versus a cupcake, but we can do a lot more. So we don't do sugar cookies. So that's the only thing we could ship. We just don't. So.
Okay, I heard you mention the fondant and the buttercream.
Mm-hmm.
Are there any other types of icing that you make?
Sure. So there's 2 different primary types of icing that we make. We make your traditional American buttercream, which is your powdered sugar base. That's the one that I have had the recipe in my family forever, okay? And there's a bunch of different recipes you can look up, but it's pretty standard. The other one that we make is called a Swiss meringue. A Swiss meringue is, you literally make a meringue of sugar and egg whites, and you cook it to the point where it's pasteurized, and then you add butter. You add a pound of butter for 1 batch. It's very good. So actually underneath our fondant cakes, to get the sharp edges, we use that Swiss meringue. It's a very good, a lot of people are like, oh, do you do a whipped? I don't do whipped like the grocery store, I do this. So it is a fluffier texture. However, because of the butter and just the way that it reacts with the meringue, it has to be at room temp in the sense of between 68 and 72 degrees to work with it. If there's been times I've walked into my shop and it's 65 or 64, it's dropped down. If the Swiss meringue, you can leave it out at room temperature overnight. Like it's fine to be left out, because if you put it in the fridge, it becomes hard as a rock. And then you have to put it on defrost. You can't nuke it, because then you're melting the butter that's in it. It's weird. So there are times where I'll walk in, if it's 65, 64 degrees, that frosting I can't work it. So we put it underneath the cakes, so that Swiss meringue is underneath. We pop it, so we carve it, like we literally carve the buttercream on the cake. You frost it, and then you carve it down, and then you put it in the fridge, and then we roll out our fondant, and then we put it over, and it's hard enough to do it. American buttercream, back when I was trying to figure this all out and it was all still new to me, I would use a traditional American, frost my cakes, fondant. It doesn't make the crisp edges, it's rounded edges, and it's soft, and then you get rippling and the whole thing sinks. It's a mess. So we have to use Swiss meringue. Italian meringue is kind of similar, but what you do is you actually cook sugar to the point where it's like you pick it up and there's wispy strands, like it's almost a caramelization. And then you have to add it to beaten egg whites really quick, and then what I find is you take sugar that's cooked and you put it on a cold beater, it's going to attach itself, and that's literally what it does. It attaches itself, and you've got like all these like stringy sugars because it's caramelized sugar. So I don't mess around with that. And then there's a Korean buttercream I've yet to make, but you always see these beautiful, beautiful flowers, buttercream flowers. If you look at any Korean-based Japanese-based, Korean-based buttercream flowers. They're just beautiful, and it's the particular way they make the buttercream, something like they add a particular emulsion. I don't know, I don't know, they hold up better, and I don't know. So yeah, we do Swiss, and we do American, basically, yeah. We are obviously on Facebook. We have a lot of likes. Somewhere on there, it's like over 5,000. We are also really heavy on Instagram. Love Instagram. I'm not on Twitter. I'm a visual. It's all visual. Colors and yay and look at the pretties. And that's very much Instagram, so you'll have to check us out.
And your physical location?
Is on Market Street. We are across from the whole darn thing. And the Neon Moon. Neon Moon actually has some of our better customers, believe it or not. So yeah, we were in the new Kepler storefronts next to State Farm. We're right on the corner there. Very beautiful location.
And the hours?
Tuesday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 6. Saturday, 10 to 3. And if you don't see me on Saturday and I'm locked up, it's because I'm in the middle of nowhere, Ohio, doing a wedding delivery. And I'm sorry.
All right, thank you so much.
You're welcome, guys.